Hi, everybody. Welcome. And today I'm going to share with you how freight brokers can turn one load into over $1 million plus in sales. Hey, thanks for joining me a little bit early. Appreciate it. For those of you that are joining me early, here's the agenda. We're going to do a quick giveaway or two. We're going to give away a couple prizes. Then we're going to jump into the training. Then we're going to do live Q&A. So that's the agenda. All right. So we're going to let some people get live here. And then again, we're going to do a quick giveaway. We're going to do the training where I'm going to share with you 3 strategies on how to convert one load into over $1 million in sales. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about today during the training. And then we're going to jump into Q&A. So for those of you that stick around for the training and then the Q&A at the end, you're more than welcome. Again, while we're logging in here, getting everybody live, hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. I'm in the Buffalo, New York area, lifelong resident from Western New York. Where are you joining me? Are you in New York? Are you in Texas? Are you in Canada? Are you in another country? Give me a heads up and I'll try to give you maybe a quick shout out or two before we do the giveaway. And then again, we're going to do the giveaway. Maybe we'll give away one of the Freightpreneur t-shirts. Maybe we'll give away some cash depending upon time. I do like to give stuff away at the beginning from time to time. So here we are. Thank you everybody for joining me. We have Tedla Yurga from Denver, Colorado. We've got Gustavo from Venezuela. Amazing. Kyra from Houston, Texas. Mahogany from New Haven, Connecticut. Christelle Murray from McKinney, Texas. Jordan Douglas from Toronto, Canada. All right, so we got 3 countries already. Venezuela, the U.S., and Canada. Wow, amazing. I love it. We got Raquel from Brunswick, Georgia. Scott Williams from Jacksonville, Florida. We got Raquel. And then we got Rashawn from Kennesaw, Georgia. We've got Scott Williams from Jacksonville. Jomo Mighty from Florida. We got people from all over the place. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm humbled. I do these lives every Monday at noon, right? Unless there's a holiday or something, but every Monday at noon Eastern, I do these lives. These are free trainings that anybody in the community can participate in, can consume in whatever live format. I stream them on Facebook. I stream them on YouTube. Where else do we stream them? Twitter, a few other places, right? So we've got, LinkedIn is another place where we stream them. And so you guys can be a part of the training, be a part of that. And then you can ask questions at the end, whether it be about this training or any topic related to starting, growing a successful freight broker, freight agency business. For those of you that don't know me, if this is your first time in hearing me, my name is Dennis Brown. I've been an entrepreneur for over 27 years, built 4 multi-million-dollar companies in 4 different industries. One of the companies that I built started back in 2003 was a logistics company, went on to grow that company to over 80 million a year in sales, and then sold that company. But I'm also the owner of Freight Broker Bootcamp, which is the most comprehensive and cost-effective online freight broker and freight agent training program available online. So if you guys are curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, you check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. All right, so we got a lot of people. Awesome. Welcome Toya from Michigan. Welcome Laura from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome Lawrence from Miami. Welcome. Man, we got people from all over. Awesome. All right, cool. So let's do the giveaway. Let's do the first giveaway. Hopefully we can do more than one, but if we can't, we'll get one done now, and then maybe we'll try to do one later. I'm going to give away a Freightpreneur t-shirt. All right. So I'm going to give away one Freightpreneur t-shirt. Unfortunately, you have to be in the United States in order to claim the prize because I don't ship these things international. I've said it before. It doesn't make sense to spend twice as much shipping something international as it costs, right? So if you're in the U.S., lean in, listen really quick, and here's all you got to do to be entered for to possibly win. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take out your cell phone, your mobile phone, and I want you to pull up, whether you're on your iPhone or you're on your Android phone, whatever it is, I want you to pull up, if you're on your iPhone, I want you to pull up the podcast app. It's a purple app on your iPhone. Pull up your podcast app and search for Freight Broker Bootcamp. That's all you got to do is search for Freight Broker Bootcamp. You'll see the logo and you'll see my bald, shiny head, probably somewhere in there. You might be able to see it. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to subscribe, rate, and review. Okay. So that means you're going to subscribe or follow, rate, and review the podcast if you're on Apple. If you're on Android, you can use Google Podcast or you can use Spotify or whatever podcast you use to listen to your to podcast or to music. You can go on there and also subscribe, rate, and review. Okay. So whether you're on Apple or Android, go on to Spotify, go on to Apple Podcasts, go on to Google Podcasts, find the Freight Broker Bootcamp podcast. It's a free audio only podcast where I have close to 100 trainings now. Sorry, guys. Listen, power literally went out while I was in the live. We're having a storm here, and my power went out. Give me 1 second. I need to make a couple adjustments before we jump back in. I'm going to try to salvage this training here if I can. Thank you, everybody who's sticking with me. I totally apologize again. The power went out. We're having a storm here in Buffalo, a small storm, and the electricity went out. I hope it doesn't go out again, but if it does, I apologize. We'll try to redo this, but I think we still have time to do the live training. So we're probably not going to have time to do the giveaway. Maybe we'll try to do the giveaway between the live training and the Q&A. Okay. So if you subscribed, rated, and reviewed on the podcast, don't put it in the comments right now. Hold off. But you've got to subscribe, rate, and review to the podcast if you want to be a part of the giveaway, okay? And I'm going to give away one Freightpreneur t-shirt. But because of time, I'm not going to do the giveaway until after the training, between the training and the live Q&A. But I will give away a Freightpreneur t-shirt, assuming that we're still live and that the power's still on. So again, thank you everybody for sticking with me. I apologize. Let me make sure that the audio is correct. All right, so the audio is good. The video seems to be working. And again, sorry about that. I was literally sitting here and I'm like, oh, is the power going to come back on? And within about 2 minutes, it clicked back on, but then the internet had to reboot and the computer had to reboot and everything had to reboot. So literally, I apologize for the inconvenience, but we're back. All right. And so thank you so much for joining me again. Just to give you a quick refresher of the people that are joining me, today we're going to talk about how freight brokers can turn one load into $1 million plus in sales. All right. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you 3 strategies that I've used personally to help do this. Right. So I want you to lean in on this training because this is something I've never really talked about before. I don't think I've ever talked about this on a live. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. Stick around here for another couple minutes and we will go live at or about noon. And then again, we're going to do the training. Then we'll do the giveaway of the Freightpreneur t-shirt, and then we will do the Q&A. Okay. So I apologize for that hiccup. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to miss the live because of that hiccup, but you know what? It is what it is. And we will end up editing this live down and releasing it on YouTube as we usually do. But I don't know when that'll go live in the next couple of weeks, probably. So yeah. And for those of you that are interested in the shirt, make sure you pull up, whether you're on your Apple or your Android, pull up your cell phone, pull up Spotify or your Apple Podcast or Google Podcast, pull up whatever podcast app you use or whatever you use to listen to music and search for Freight Broker Bootcamp Audio Experience. Subscribe, rate, and review, and then hold that because I'm going to ask you after the training, I'm going to ask you to enter that into the comments so that I can then pick one of you for the Freightpreneur t-shirt, but don't enter it now because it's going to get lost in the shuffle. Okay. So I'm going to give you a prompt to make sure that you guys subscribe, rate, and review to the podcast. And then I'm going to give one of these t-shirts away as I always do. Okay. Thank you for hanging with me, guys. I know that it's, I was probably black, like a black screen or frozen on YouTube and Facebook and all these different channels for several minutes. So you thought you lost me, but I'm back. I'm here. We're going to salvage the training. These are my notes for today. And I'm excited because I think you guys are really going to enjoy this training. So let us get a couple of minutes here because I normally start the actual live trainings at right about noon. So we'll start the training in just a couple of minutes. And then we'll go from there. So my suggestion to you in the meantime, silence your cell phone. Okay. Grab a piece of paper, take down some notes. All right. Grab a cup of coffee real quick or a glass of water. Shut off all the distractions. Shut your office door. Give me your attention for the next half hour. Okay. Give me your attention for the next half hour or so. I don't think the training is going to take that long, but between the training and the Q&A and everything, give me your attention for the next 20 to 30 minutes. And I think you will definitely enjoy it. You're going to definitely learn something. This is one of the most powerful lessons you will ever learn as a freight broker. Okay. Trust me, I'm not overhyping this. This is the secret to success, long-term, significant success as a freight broker. So I'm going to share this with you today. All right. So thank you so much, everybody, with both New York football teams 2-0 by the end of the day. Thank you, Maisha. Gustavo, it wasn't you, man. Trust me. How does the electricity go off in the middle of my live? That's a first. Yeah, I don't know. It's not bad. I mean, it's barely even raining out, but somehow there must be some sort of issue, power failure somewhere along the line, but I don't know. I'm not sure, but we're back up and running for now. So I'm going to try to get this training in real quick. Then we're going to do the giveaway. Then we're going to do the live Q&A, and then we're going to be out of here. Okay. And I'll let you guys go on your way before the power goes out again. All right. So For those of you that are just joining me again today, I'm going to share with you how freight brokers can convert one load into over $1 million plus in sales. I'm going to share with you 3 strategies, 3 tactics, 3 things that you need to be doing as a freight broker or a freight agent to grow your freight brokerage. Okay. So these are really important things there. And the best part about it is they're very simple. They're basic, right? There's not going to be anything earth shattering here. Okay. These are fundamentals that you have to understand. All right. So we're going to get started in about 1 minute. Thank you everybody for joining me. We're getting a few more people live. And we're going to get the show on the road here. Okay. Let me grab a quick drink. And then we'll dive in, okay? Okay, so no time like the present. So why don't we do this? Let's get this started. Today, I'm going to share with you how to convert one load into over $1 million plus in sales as a freight broker. So if you're interested in that, I want you to lean in, pay attention to what's going to happen here today, because I'm going to share with you 3 strategies that I've used to convert the first load of a customer into over $1 million in sales from that customer eventually, okay, over time. So I'm going to share with you these 3 strategies. And like I was just saying to you, these are very fundamental strategies. These are things that every single person on this live or watching this video will be able to do, can do. You have the capability of doing all 3 of these things. The key is, will you do them, and will you do them consistently? Okay. So here, I'm going to take it from the top. Number 1, what you have to do is you have to understand the secret to success, long-term, highly profitable freight brokerage is customer retention. It means that you have to retain your clients beyond just the first load or the first month or the first year. You have to have long-term customer retention because that increases the lifetime value of a shipper. So if the lifetime value of a shipper is 1 load and they paid you $2,500, then the lifetime value of that client was only $2,500. But if the lifetime value of that client is 5 years and they're doing $200,000 a year in business with you, that converts that lifetime value from $2,500 into over $1 million over the lifetime of that client. So customer retention is the key. So I'm going to share with you 3 simple customer retention strategies that any freight broker can implement into their business. Number 1, as a part of customer retention, one of the things you have to understand is that you need to build multiple relationships with multiple layers within the organization of your customer. So for example, if you're working with the shipping manager at your customer, you also should find a contact and develop a relationship with his boss and potentially with his boss. So you want to find 2 or 3, at least 2 to 3 individuals within that organization that are stakeholders and or have a vested interest in the logistics and transportation department, and you want to start developing relationships with them. Now, your day-to-day is going to be handled mainly by the shipping manager or the load planner or the traffic manager, whatever that case may be. But what I'm trying to get through to you is you need to build multiple layers of relationships within that organization. And here's why. Because things change. You will find, and it's happened to me many times, the shipping manager that I've been working with for a long time got fired or retired or moved on to another company or another industry. And I did not have a relationship with multiple layers in that organization. And therefore, it was very difficult for me to retain that client when that change when it happened. But if you have multiple layers of relationships in that organization, you've got the traffic manager or load planner, you've got the shipping manager, you got the director of operations, you got the VP of logistics and transportation, depending upon the size of the company. You know, if you have multiple layers of relationships within that organization, it is going to make you much more resilient to any sort of change, which will improve your customer retention and ultimately the lifetime value of that client. That's number one. Okay. Number two, you have to implement what is called a customer feedback loop. Now, it's not complicated. The challenge is most business owners, in my experience, rarely, if ever, include their customers in any sort of a customer feedback loop that is formal in any way, right? You have to formalize this in such a way that you can actually collect data, collect information from your customers with the goal of improving the relationship and the overall value that you can provide to them. Okay. So sometimes it's as simple as just asking your customers a simple question or two, like, if there was one thing that I could do to improve or increase the value to your company on the services we're providing, what would it be? Something very simple. And then you listen. So that type of feedback that you get, and then you act on that feedback to actually improve the overall value and the overall relationship is how you can actually impact customer retention and increase, the length of time that you have a customer, the lifetime value of that customer, and ultimately the sales that you're able to generate from that customer. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3, show appreciation regularly. Now, what I mean by appreciation, show customers appreciation regularly. Now, there are multiple ways to do this. One way to show customer appreciation is just to simply say thank you. It costs you absolutely nothing, but saying thank you, a sincere thank you to a customer for their business and letting them know how much they mean to you and how much you appreciate their business should not go without being said. You have to let them know you appreciate the business. By saying that, you will differentiate yourself from most freight brokers, because most freight brokers are so transactionally focused. They're not focused on that relationship. So that in itself can help differentiate you. So just saying thank you can be a way to show your appreciation, but there are lots of other ways to show the appreciation. You can buy the office lunch once a month, right? Send them a lunch, right? Send them pizza or subs or Chinese food or whatever. There's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people working on the docks or working in that office. Buy them lunch once a month. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It might cost you $25 for a pizza and some chicken wings, or $40 for some pizza and chicken wings. But ultimately, you're showing your appreciation to them that number one, you're acknowledging that you truly appreciate them, and you're giving them a small gesture, some small gesture of kindness to let them know that you truly appreciate them. Other things you can do is send them handwritten notes, personalized thank you notes. You could also send them periodic gifts around the holidays. One thing that I did that, there was an example of how I had a client. This wasn't in the logistics industry. This is when I had my software company around 1999 or 2000. I used to own a software company. I had a client, and, we had been working with him for quite a while, and we'd done a lot of business with him, and his wife had gotten pregnant, and we had followed through the whole pregnancy process. She had the baby, and then, they got back from the hospital. And so what did I do? I bought a huge teddy bear, a huge, like 5-foot teddy bear, and I had it delivered to their house as a gift for the baby, right? Not for my client, not for his wife, but for the baby. So that's an example of showing appreciation. That's an example of how to leverage a small gift to develop a relationship. Okay. So those are the 3 things. Those are really simple. Number 1, again, develop relationships with multiple layers of people within the organization that have a vested interest in transportation and logistics. Number 2, implement a customer feedback loop. Ask your customers either through some sort of a formal survey online or by talking to them on the phone, and get customer feedback, and then implement that feedback to enhance the relationship and improve the value of the service. And then number 3 is show your appreciation regularly. You shouldn't just show appreciation once a year. You shouldn't just send them a gift, some candy or cookies or a card around the holidays. You should show them appreciation regularly. If you're not, if they were a local client, you'd probably take them to lunch once a month or once a quarter. Just because they're not local and they're across the country doesn't mean you can't buy them lunch. Doesn't mean you can't travel out there and go to an event or go to sporting events or just break bread to have dinner with them and enhance and develop that relationship. So number 3 was show your appreciation regularly. Okay. So those are the 3 things that you can do right now. Anybody on this live, anybody watching this video can do right now to convert one load into over $1 million in sales as a freight broker. It doesn't require a lot of experience. It doesn't require a lot of money. It doesn't require a lot of talent. It just requires you to take the initiative to do it and to do it consistently. So I hope that helped you guys. I hope to see you guys implement some of this. And I'd love to hear your feedback about it in the comments. Ultimately, if you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, and you're looking for some help, you're looking for some guidance, you're looking for a step-by-step process on how to get off the ground and start generating some cash flow, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We've trained over 10,000 students. We've been in business over a decade. We're well known to be the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker training program available. And I offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. I can't make it any better than that. So check it out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. All right. Awesome. So hope you guys have enjoyed that. I don't want you to misunderstand something. Simplicity is sometimes the secret to success. The solution doesn't have to be overly complex. So the title of this training is how to convert one load into over $1 million plus in sales. And when you first read that headline, you probably thought, wow, that's amazing. And you probably had this very complex idea in your mind, and it was going to be something that was going to be earth-shattering and that I was going to be curing cancer here live today, right? That's not the case, right? I'm not that smart, nor do you need to be that smart, okay? What you do have to do is you have to pay attention and you have to focus on relationships over transactions, okay? And that's a big part of what this does. Building trust with multiple layers of the organization, developing a customer feedback loop, and then ultimately regularly showing your appreciation in different ways, whether that be buying them lunch, sending them a thank you note, buying them a personal gift, visiting them, going to events. Say thank you in multiple ways, multiple times throughout the year, not just once a year around the holidays. Okay. So those are the 3 tips that I wanted to share with you. Listen, I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm really just looking to get some feedback from you guys on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. 1 meaning, hey, listen, Dennis, this really just didn't hit home for me. I didn't think it was very good. 5 meaning, it was okay. Not impressed. 10 meaning, hey, listen, give us more trainings like this. This was extremely valuable. And I'm going to try to implement some of these in my business. Hit me up in the comments and let me know 1 to 10, how this hit for you. And then we are going to do a quick giveaway, and then we're going to do live Q&A. So give me some feedback in the comments, and then we're going to do the giveaway. And then, so hold tight on that giveaway. I'm going to give away a Freightpreneur t-shirt. And then from there, after we do the giveaway, we're going to do live Q&A. So stick around to the end because we'll do live Q&A, whether it be about this topic or any topic related to starting and growing a successful and highly profitable freight broker business. All right. Cool. All right. So it sounds like this was a good topic for you guys and that this was valuable. Good. Okay. And listen, guys, be honest with me. If it was a 3, tell me it was a 3. Give me the 3 and then just tell me why it was a 3. You know what I'm doing right here? This is customer feedback loop. Okay. I'm getting feedback from you on the value that I'm providing you. It's very meta, right? I just talked about it and now I'm doing it. It's just second nature for me. I do this quite often because I want to understand and make sure that I'm hitting the mark and that I'm providing value to you and I'm serving you. That's what you need to do with your clients. And trust me, by doing it, very few people are going to do it. Very few freight brokers are ever going to do this with their clients. And if they do it, they might do it once. They'll never do it again, right? This should be a regular thing. You should constantly be getting feedback and developing that feedback loop, okay? All right. All right, cool. So it looks like awesome. Thank you so much. All right, good. Well, you guys have placated my ego more than enough today. Thank you so much. I'm very humbled that you guys enjoyed the training and that you're joining me live. Thank you so much. So let's do this. I'm going to give back. Let's do the quick giveaway. So if you want a chance to win the Freightpreneur t-shirt, here's all you got to do. Pull out your cell phone, whether you have Apple or Android. Pull out your favorite podcast app, or maybe it's Spotify or Google Podcast, or it's your Apple Podcast app. And what I want you to do is I want you to open the app. I want you to search for Freight Broker Bootcamp, and you're going to see the logo and my bald shining head there. Okay. You can probably see that. And what I want you to do is subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite podcast app, and then come back into the comments and let me know that and here's what you have to type. Okay. Here's what you have to write and what you have to do. I subscribed, rated, reviewed on Apple or on Spotify or on Google Podcasts or on whatever podcast app that you're listening to. Again, this is an honor system. Okay. So I'm asking you to be honorable. Don't say you subscribed, rated, and reviewed unless you actually did, but you can go in. If you're an Apple user, go to the Apple Podcast app, subscribe, rate, and review to the Freight Broker Bootcamp podcast. If you just do a search for Freight Broker Bootcamp, you're going to see it pop up. It's very easy. This is the Freight Broker Bootcamp. It's a free resource. It's a free platform, costs you absolutely nothing. And it's where I put the best of the best of the best audio training that I have. You can listen to it when you're walking the dog, when you're on the treadmill, when you're driving in your car or your truck, whatever the case may be. And you can just listen to it in the background without having to pay attention to a video or skip videos or do any of that sort of stuff, skip ads, none of that stuff. There's no ads on my podcast. Okay. So yeah, you guys can just check that out at, and wherever you listen to podcasts. A lot of people do it on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple. So come back into the comments and let me know you subscribed, rated, and reviewed. Gigi did it perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Gigi. And if whoever comes down in here and actually follows through and subscribe, rates, and reviews, you're going to be part of the giveaway. I'm going to give away one Freightpreneur t-shirt. And again, I should have mentioned this here. I did earlier, but I should have mentioned it now. You have to be in the United States in order to participate in the shirt giveaway, because I don't ship these things internationally. Okay. Matter of fact, I don't sell these things at all. Somebody's going to ask me, hey, where can I buy one? Where can I get it? I don't sell them. I just give them away. Okay. I've given away hundreds of these over the years. And I'm going to give away another one today. Okay. Diane, I need to know where you subscribed, rated, and reviewed. Subscribed, rated, and reviewed on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever. Okay. Jewel, thank you. Subscribe, rated, and reviewed on Apple. Awesome. Apple's my favorite by far. I'm an Apple guy. Oddly enough, when I was younger, I wasn't an Apple guy at all. And then I got the iPhone. I wasn't a Mac or Apple guy. And then once I got the iPhone, it just got me. I've never had anything. I've never had a smartphone. Well, wait a minute. I did have I think I had a BlackBerry or a Palm Pilot or something very early on. That was miserable. As soon as I found Apple and iPhone, I got consumed. So now I have all Apple products. And I know there are going to be some arguments here. Oh my God, Android's better and I use this. That's okay. To each their own, but I'm a big Apple guy. Yes, relax. Just shell. I have a podcast on Apple. Yes. Apple Podcast. You just go to your iPhone, search for podcast. It's a purple app. It'll come up and you can simply search for Freight Broker Bootcamp, subscribe, rate, and review. And then you can come back in here and let me know. And we're going to pick a winner in about 1 minute. We're going to pick a winner. So hurry up, get the, subscribe, rate, and review. Find it on wherever you're listening. And then I'm going to give away one of these shirts. And then we're going to go into live Q&A. So stick around for the live Q&A. Okay. So we got Sandra on Apple. Awesome. Very cool. All right. So we're waiting for one or two more. And then we're going to do, when the next tick of the clock, we're going to do the giveaway. So you've got about 30 to 60 seconds. And then we're going to do the live giveaway of the Freightpreneur t-shirt. Someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. That's what it says. Okay. Sorry. I should have mentioned that to you. Yeah. Clara Lachelle, I don't have ads. Okay. So no, I don't have ads inside of my list. So if you're listening on Apple, there are no ads inside of my podcast. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe Spotify or somebody else does, but Apple doesn't. So if you listen on Apple, there are no ads in my podcast. I do not sell ads. A lot of people sell ads in their podcast, but I currently haven't done that. I've been asked many times already to put ads in here. I just haven't done it. Right. Okay, cool. All right, listen, let's do the giveaway. All right, so here we go. I have a very non-scientific way of doing it. I scroll up to the top where people were subscribing. I close my eyes. I scroll down through the comments and I try to pick one person randomly, and that didn't work. So let me pull. Okay, here we go. Close my eyes, scroll around, and the winner is Jessica Padron. Jessica Padron, you are the winner. She subscribed, rated, and reviewed on Apple. Congratulations. You listened to the instructions. Here's all you got to do to claim your prize. Go to my Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page. Like the page and then message me your full name, your mailing address, and your size. This is a large. They're unisex sizing. They're pretty true to size. Okay. So your name, your address, and your size. And let me know that you won the t-shirt giveaway, the podcast t-shirt giveaway. Okay. So name, address, size, and that you won the podcast t-shirt giveaway. I'll process that. You'll get it in the next couple of weeks. Congratulations, Jessica. Thank you, everybody, for playing along. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to give away one more shirt. I'm going to randomly pick one more person. I'll pick one more person from this same lot here. Let's see. All right. The next winner is Jewel Williams. Jewel, you are the next winner of the Freightpreneur t-shirt. Follow those instructions. Go to the Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page, like the page, then message me your full name, your address, and your size, and let me know that you won the podcast t-shirt giveaway, and I'll process that and send it out. You should get it in the next week to 2 weeks. Thank you so much, everybody, for playing along. We're going to be doing the live Q&A now, okay? So congratulations to the winners. If you have questions, okay, hit me up in the comments and let me know. Here's one thing for sure. I will not get to all the questions today. There's way too many questions. I'll be here for hours and hours and hours, okay? So I've got a limited amount of time, but if you have questions, hit me up in the comments and let me know, and I will do my best to try to get to your question. If I can't get to it during the live, maybe I'll try to come back in during the week and respond in the comments and or point you in the right direction through private message. But hit me up in the comments with whatever questions you have, whether that be about Freight Broker startup or Freight Broker sales or marketing or dispatching or rating or whatever, but be specific with your question. Don't be generic. Don't say, how do I get customers? How do I get shippers? Okay. How do you get shippers? It's called sales. Be specific, right? Be very specific with your question and try to keep it brief. All right. So, become a broker. Okay. So question from Carlene, how to become a broker? I'm new. I would like to do something. Okay. So how to become a broker? The first thing you need to do is get trained, right? So there are lots of training programs online. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We have a full online training. You can go at your own pace. It's very cost effective. So number one, you got to get trained. Number two, you're going to have to set up you have to get licensed and get your freight broker authority. Don't let that scare you. There is no test. There's no exam. There's no quiz. There's no real difficulty other than you have to check off some boxes. You got to submit an application. You got to get a freight broker bond. You got to get a BOC3 and some basic requirements in order to get your freight broker authority. And then from there, you will, you're going to develop your niche and start learning about your niche, build a list of shippers, and then you're going to go out and start contacting shippers to do business with them, right? To start providing them services. You're going to then give them some rate quotes. They're going to accept your rate. You're going to move a shipment, and then you're going to cover the load. So there's a lot to it, but to become a freight broker, 1, get trained, 2, get your authority, 3, set up your home office, and 4, you're off to the races, okay? I also have some really good video on YouTube. I think it's 7 steps to becoming a successful freight broker. So that'll walk you through a lot more granular. You could check that out on YouTube. I think that might be helpful to you, Carlene. Okay, so here's a question from Fatir. What, as a freight broker, you have to provide your onboarding agents to start under your brokerage? Okay, so what do you have to provide your agents during onboarding? Okay, so if you are a broker and you're looking to hire agents, whether, I would typically make sure that, number one, you have a broker agent contract, which defines roles, responsibilities, and compensation, right? And basic policies, right? So number one, you'd have a broker contract. During the onboarding, you would also you'd want to get like a W-2, because again, you're going to need to 1099 them. Okay. So you're going to need a W-2. You're going to want to provide some sort of standard operating procedure for the software that you're going to be using, for how to set up a customer, how to set up a carrier, how to get all that approved. So you're going to want to provide some standard operating procedures. And then from there, you're going to want to have a session, you're going to define some sort of a session where you can help train them on the software, train them how to use whatever load boards you're using. Because again, not everybody's using the same load boards or has the same exact experience. Even if they're experienced agents, they may not be familiar with the exact software that you're using. So I think that would be a very good start. I mean, the contract, the W-2, some basic standard operating procedures, and maybe an onboarding training. I think that would be a great place to start. Good question. Okay, so here's a question from Yesenia Torres. How do I know how to give a correct quote to a shipper? All right, so quoting isn't really that overly complicated, right? Everybody thinks that providing freight quotes is overly complicated. Here's the basic framework. You're going to go to there's three ways you do this. Number one, you go to the load boards and you can use their rating tools. They have rating analysis tools that will help give you some basic guidelines on the spot market rates, what it's going to cost you to pay a truck from point A to point B. But that is not where it ends. That's going to give you a basic range, okay? A basic feel for where the rates are in that lane based on that equipment. The second step is you're going to look at the lane makers, which is a lane history for that load, for that lane based on the equipment. And it's going to give you a list of carriers that you can then contact, okay, that have ran that lane in the last 30, 60, 90 days. You will then contact those carriers by phone, talk to them about the load that you have, and try to understand what it's going to cost and negotiate a basic rate so that you can understand the true cost of what the spot market's going to charge for that on any given day, week, or month, okay? The next thing you can do is you can also post a load to the load boards, but let everybody know that you're looking for rates, and that it's not a live load. And you can then start conversations with carriers that are also going to give you some feedback on what that lane is going to cost from point A to point B based upon the current market conditions, fuel, and everything that's going on. And it's very specific to that lane and that type of equipment. So it seems very challenging and time consuming, and it can be when you first start. But the cool part about it is once you understand the fundamentals on how to rate, it happens very, very quickly. And not only that, but if I had a customer that was shipping a weekly load from Buffalo to Atlanta on a van, the hardest part is the first week is to understand who the carriers are and what they're charging. But week 2, the rates aren't going to change that much, right? And I know who to call. I know how to post it. I know the basic rates. And so ultimately, the due diligence that you do upfront for a new shipper in new lanes can sometimes be a little bit time consuming. But the cool thing is that once you do that, it's not something where you got to do an extensive amount of research from week to week on that given lane or that given movement. So yeah, so that's a basic formula on how you can generate rates. here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to go to some rating software and just pull up the lane and here's the price that the rating software is saying, and you're going to add your margin on top. That's not how it's going to work. That's a surefire way to miss the rate. Again, it's very easy to quote to be the highest. It's very easy to be the cheapest. It's a lot harder to find that sweet spot. And that's the reason why you have to communicate with carriers and effectively understand what the cost from point A to point B is going to be for that load in order to effectively add your margin and submit it as a rate. So I hope that helps. I also have a video on YouTube all about that, okay, on my YouTube channel, so you can check it out there. Okay, so here's a question from Aaron. After we apply for the Freight Broker Authority, how long do we have to wait before we buy the surety bond? You can get the surety bond right away. As soon as you file your application for your authority, you can get your surety bond. And once your surety bond is approved by the surety company, they're going to communicate with the FMCSA and let them know that the bond is active. And then the FMCSA is going to check that off the list. They're going to go through their process. And once everything's checked off the list and validated, then they're going to make your authority active. So you can get your freight broker bond right after you submit your application. You don't have to wait significantly because the freight broker bonding company, once it's approved, they are then going to communicate directly with the FMCSA and let them know that the bond is active and now valid. Good question. Okay, so here's a question. What's the difference between freight agent versus a freight broker? I'm trying to see if I have a clear understanding. Okay, good question. So a freight broker is licensed by the FMCSA, which is the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, okay, to broker loads in the United States, okay? They are a freight broker. They have a license. They have an authority to do that by the government, okay? Now, don't worry. It's not that complex. There's no exam. There's no test. It's not like becoming a real estate agent or a cosmetologist or a stockbroker or anything. You don't have to take this exam. It's just a basic process and application that you got to fill out. So that's a freight broker. They are the licensed entity. Now, a freight agent is typically an independent contractor that operates under a freight broker in a revenue sharing partnership. So they're an independent contractor. So they're an independent business owner that works with the freight broker to find customers and help manage their freight from point A to point Z. And they are in a revenue share. Freight agents typically make somewhere between 50 and 70% of the profit on every single load. So if the load costs the shipper $1,000 and you paid a carrier $800 and there was $200 in profit, and you as the agent were on 50% commission, you would get 100 and the broker would keep 100, right? So it's a partnership. It's a relationship where the agents fulfill a certain part of that relationship, like finding customers, moving the freight, doing the dispatch, doing the day-to-day, and the brokers facilitate the license, marketing, software, technology, billing, collections, and all the back office, okay? So it's a partnership. So I hope that helps. The cool thing about being a freight agent, you don't need it's very low cost to start up. You don't need a bond. You don't need an authority. You don't need anything really other than a phone, internet, and some basic training. Okay. And a good work ethic. Okay, here's a question from Tanisha. As a new broker, how do I effectively study the market? I know things change almost daily and that affect rates. Is there a certain news source I should follow or similar? All right. So believe it or not, the transportation and logistics industry doesn't change that fast. Actually, they're really, the transportation logistics industry is fairly slow to evolve. And they're a bit of a laggard when it comes to technology, but finally they've kind of, started to embrace technology more the last 10 years. But the things that change in the logistics industry that you need to pay attention to, you can find the price of fuel, right? Diesel fuel. The price of diesel fuel affects everything in our economy. It affects your rates, but it also affects the cost of end products, right? Because everything goes on a truck at some point, right? And the more diesel costs, the more fuel costs, the more everything costs, right? So you need to understand and follow fuel prices, which are basically a weekly, you can find that online. It's a weekly average that you can use based on whether fuel is up or down or steady. It's usually up or down. It usually doesn't stay very consistent these days. But understanding where fuel is one thing you're going to want to know. What's the cost of diesel fuel in your region or nationally? Okay, the national average. All right, the second thing you're going to want to keep track of is the load to truck ratio in any lanes that you're moving. So that's where you're going to find a load board, right? You're going to use the DAT, you're going to use Truck Stop, and you are going to understand the dynamics of supply and demand for that lane. So if it's that example I gave you before, Buffalo to Atlanta on a van, if you understand that there are more trucks than there are loads, then that's going to drive the price down. If there are more loads than there are trucks, then that's going to drive the price up. So understanding that supply and demand is another important one. Some other things you can do to stay in tune is, you can join associations, whether that be like the TIA, they're a good association. You could join industry associations. So for example, your niche is the steel industry or the produce industry or the import export or the oil and gas industry, whatever niche you're in, you can join associations there, or you can read and consume trade journals in and around that industry so you can stay in touch with what's going on within that industry, not just the logistics sector. So those are some examples of some things that you can keep track of on a daily, weekly basis in order to keep you educated and keep you on top of your niche and your industry. So I hope that helps. There's lots of other things, but that's 3 or 4 examples of some things you can do very quickly. Okay, so here's a question from Relax Jashel. Where would I find contacts for shippers? Also, I have a dispatcher for my fleet, so should I forward the loads to them for the drivers? Okay, so Rochelle, dispatching and brokering are 2 totally different things. Okay, they're 2 totally different things. So I'm not going to address the dispatch side. I'll address where do you find contacts for shippers. All right, so finding contacts for shippers, the best place is number 1 is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the world's largest professional networking site. It's kind of like a Facebook for business, but it's better, right? You don't get a lot of the garbage on there, a lot of the political or religious or, negative things on there, right? So it's focused more towards business. So you can, on LinkedIn, you can search by company, you can search by industry, you can search by title, and you can find the shipping manager, logistics manager, transportation manager, traffic manager, warehouse manager, whoever it is you're trying to find. That's one of the best sources to find contacts for your prospects, for the companies you want to go after, right? So that's one way to find it. The other way to find it is to contact the company and let them just simply contact the company and transfer down to the shipping department and ask, who's the shipping manager? If they won't transfer you in, you can ask the receptionist, who's the shipping manager. If they then won't tell you that, then you can contact them and say, hey, listen, I have a piece of mail that I need to overnight to the shipping manager. Can you tell me who the shipping manager is and what their address is so I can send this out to them? You may end up sending them something by mail. So having that, but that's a great way to try to sometimes confirm who the shipping manager is if you can't get past the gatekeeper, okay? Because they will typically give you the name in that case if you tell them you're going to mail them something. So those are a few things you can do. You contact the shipper. You can use LinkedIn. Obviously, you can use Google based upon, using different search parameters like the company name and then shipping manager, logistics manager, warehouse manager. Sometimes their names will be published online in different directories or on their website. So those are a few ways that you can find the shipping managers or the contacts that you will be prospecting. Okay, so here's a question from Carlene. One more question. Do you have to have a good amount of money to start a freight broker business? No, you don't. So I tell everybody, if you want to become a freight broker, you need thousands of dollars. If you want to become a freight agent, you only need hundreds of dollars to start up. But as a freight broker, the biggest cost for a freight broker is to get your freight broker bond. And that bond cost will range on an annual basis, will range somewhere between $1,000 and usually $3,000 roughly, depending upon your credit. Now, it can go much higher if you have very bad credit. But if you've got good credit, I've seen people that get bonds at $900, $1,000 a year, and that's all it costs for your $75,000 freight broker bond. Just because it's a $75,000 bond doesn't mean you have to have $75,000, because the bond, the surety bond, is like an insurance product. There's an annual premium that you'll pay. It'll be based heavily on your credit. So if you have good credit, the bond costs will go down. If you have bad credit, your bond costs will go up. Okay. So that's your biggest cost to start as a freight broker. Then you have some basic stuff like load boards and setting up your office, and you probably already have a computer and you probably already have a phone. So startup costs for a freight brokerage are very, very low. Plus, when it comes to paying your carriers, right? So say you ship a load for ABC widgets and you invoice them, and then they're not going to pay you for 30 to 45 days, but the carrier wants to get paid in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You will use what is called a factoring company, and you will use them to help finance your receivables to pay those bills while you're waiting for the shipper to pay the invoice, right? So you're typically using what's called OPM, or other people's money, to finance your receivables. So that's another thing. I have a lot of information on my blog at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog, or on my YouTube channel, where you can check out information about factoring. So those would be your biggest costs. Factoring, which you'll use them, and you won't have to come out of pocket for any of that. And the biggest hard cost for you is going to be your bond, which can range anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a year. So startup costs for a freight broker is very, very low in comparison to like a franchise type business, where, if you try to set up a franchise, one location, it's probably, on average, it's probably $100,000 plus, and that's for one location, right? Some of them cost millions, others cost, 20, 40, 50,000. I mean, if you want to start a pizzeria, right, it's going to cost you $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 just to set up the kitchen. Okay. So you can start up a freight brokerage for much, much less. Good question. Mahogany, I think I just answered that question about some of the variable costs. Prince, what equipment is needed? You just need a basic computer, a basic phone, and internet. You don't need any other equipment. I mean, an office desk or a chair, you could do it on your kitchen table if you want, but an office desk, chair, computer. You might want to have a print. You're going to need a printer scanner, something that can scan documents that you sign, something you can print documents, right? You're going to need basic. So printer, scanner, combination printer, scanner. You won't need a fax because nobody faxes. You're going to email, right? Everything's going to get emailed. And computer and a phone. It's really it. Internet access. Very simple. Yes, Adrian, you will file for your authority through the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. If you need help with that, that's a small part of what we do in freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We teach you how to get that authority, and then from there, how to set up your office, how to find your niche, how to do rating, how to, do outreach to shippers, all that sort of stuff. That's all the stuff we teach after. But, if you looked at, this is Freight Broker Bootcamp, the how to get your authority is a small piece, but we walk you through that whole piece if you need some help. Okay. Aaron, I answered this question. You don't have to wait at all. If you filed for your freight broker authority and you filed the application, you can get your broker bond immediately. The bonding company, once it's approved, they will notify the FMCSA that you now have a bond. And then once the FMCSA has found you've met all the check marks, they'll deem your authority active. Is there a particular software we use to help us quote? Load boards. TruckStop and DAT both have rating tools built into them where you can start understanding the rates, the spot market rates. So you were going to go to TruckStop or DAT typically, and those are not only load boards, but they also have rating intelligence tools built into them that you can also subscribe to. All right, so here's a question. Do you have a preferred freight broker CRM? Would you use DAT to help quote contract rates? Yeah, I would use DAT to help quote it, but I wouldn't use their rates just as they spit them out. I mean, I would do some due diligence on that beyond just what the DAT has to say. But yeah, I would use that. As far as CRM goes, what I would tell you is on my blog, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. Okay. Let me see. Where is it here? Okay. If you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog, and then you search in my blog, there's a search bar there where you can search for software. I have an entire post where I go through all of the software you will ever possibly need, including CRM, TMS, load boards, accounting, all of it. So that one post includes everything. Okay. So that would be the best thing you could do if you really wanted to get nitty gritty on every section of that. The CRM, I think some of the different ones that I mentioned are like HubSpot, Pipedrive, and less annoying CRM. I think I have 4 or 5 different CRMs that I recommend there. I would highly suggest you check it out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog, and then just search for software. Okay, Carlene, how much does it cost? Okay, so if you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com, let's see, let me put it up here, freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Okay, if you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com, there are 2 ways to get started. You can get a gold membership, which is a 1-year membership where you have unlimited access for 1 full year. It's $185 one-time cost, no recurring fees. Okay. If you want to become a platinum member, that will give you lifetime access plus a whole host of additional bonuses. You'll get lifetime access, lifetime support for a one-time fee of $389, no recurring cost. You can log in whenever you want. You can access the training 24/7, 365, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. I can't make it any easier than that. My suggestion is get the platinum. Because after a year, I can't tell you how many gold members come back to me and they want to, and then they have to renew and they have to renew. And they just, because they're going to want not only access to the training and the bonuses, but they're also going to want access to support. And with the platinum membership, you get lifetime support. So the questions you're asking today as a startup are very different than you're going to be asking 12, 18, 24 months from now. Right? But we're still going to be available to answer those questions for you. Why? Because I've been there. I've done that. Right? I've done over $200 million as a freight broker. I've ran into almost every situation you can run into during the time of building that business. I promise you. And if it wasn't in that business, it was one of my other businesses that I've been fortunate and blessed to build succeed or fail with. Again, I probably had 9 or 10 businesses over my career. Most of them have failed, but 4 of them I was able to convert into multi 7-figure and even 8-figure businesses. So hope that helps. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Listen, good questions today. Thank you so much. If you guys are curious about becoming a freight broker or freight agent, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, we've trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Well known to be the most cost-effective, comprehensive online freight broker training program. If you're already a member of the training, welcome. Congratulations. Thank you. We're here to support you. Hit up support if you have any questions, or you can come back into these weekly calls and feel free to ask your questions there. I hope you guys enjoyed the training today. Again, remember those 3 tips. Build multiple relationships at multiple levels within your shipper. Number 2, implement a customer feedback loop. And number 3, show your appreciation regularly in a variety of different formats. And it doesn't require you to break the bank to do that. I hope you guys have an awesome day. I hope you have an awesome week. And I will see you next Monday at noon with another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live.